Hello, everybody, and welcome to our conference call provider meeting today. Thank you for joining us. Please bear with us. Bear with us as this is our first time hosting a call like this. I am Elizabeth Fiola, the Chief Program Officer with the Early Learning Coalition of Marion County, and we do have other staff in the room. Do you want to introduce yourselves, everybody?
This is Marcy Easter.
This is Scott Stevenson. And this is Roseanne Frick, CEO.
So we thank you for being on the call today, and we hope you were able to check your email, or once you log on, you can see the agenda if you're looking at it on your screen. We have muted everybody, so you will be able to ask questions by typing into the box. And a little bit later in the agenda, if you're joining us by call only, if you will write down your questions, and in a little bit we will open up the phone so that we can answer as many questions as possible. And I am going to ask Scott if you will be our note taker for questions at the end.
Sure.
So that we can then type these up and add them to our frequently asked questions sheet that goes out.
If someone could type in the chat box or question box that they can see what's on our screen and hear us, please do that now. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. Okay, Elizabeth, you can continue.
Thank you. Yes, we just wanted to make sure, especially with our first time, that we are being, that you can hear us and everything is working. So thank you. We're going to just go ahead and jump right into it. We have been, well, first, let me stop and say thank you for everything that you all have done and the patience that you've shown and the commitment to our families. And those of you that have remained open, thank you again. Those of you that have chosen to close, thank you also for being diligent and keeping up with the safety protocols that are being recommended. Childcare is an essential service and is something that is vital to our community to keep it running. And we are serving a lot of first responders and other essential businesses such as grocery stores, laundromats, cars, dealerships, not dealerships, I'm sorry. You know what I mean. Yes. And it's just to make sure that we can keep moving forward and get a handle on this COVID-19 virus as soon as possible in our community. So that being said, thank you, thank you, thank you. And let me tell you a little bit about what you've seen in the emails that I send out. There is a lot of information out there. I have put a lot of information in front of you via your email. If you have yet to see an email from me, please let us know that you're not seeing any daily emails from me, because unless you tell us, I don't know. Some big changes that the coalition has made is our office itself is closed to the public to try to keep down any spread of the COVID-19 virus, but we are still working diligently behind doors through the phone, as many of you probably heard from our staff yesterday and today. That's a daily practice. We will continue to call you just to check in and see if you need anything, if you are currently open still, or if you're making any plans to close. If you're noticing any trends among your families that are coming in, or what your needs are. We are collecting data every day on how we can help support you, and we're brainstorming and going over resources and trying to find things that will help support you every single day. So some of the other things that we have put in place to help mitigate the effects of the COVID-19, all providers, VPK and school readiness contracted providers, if you have remained open, you will be reimbursed fully for every enrollment from March 1st, 2020, current and moving forward until a time that we haven't determined yet. Okay? That right now, no doctor's notes are needed for absences. You can, we're going to give you some guidance on how to document that stuff at a later time. But right now, you're basically claiming every enrollment you have. And you will get reimbursed for every enrollment you have. Again, and that date is from March 1st, 2020 on to now. The second thing on our agenda that we are putting into effect is the waiver of parent fees. Do we have any questions, Marcy?
Yeah, let's hold 1 second for questions. So what do we do if we can't get parents to sign the monthly attendance forms for those of us who use electronic attendance?
So if you can't get a parent to sign, you can just put a note. If there's an ability to put a note in your electronic attendance file, that's perfectly acceptable. Typically on a typical month, we would tell you to make 2 attempts with the parent. Of course, if you're not seeing the parent and the child's not attending, then you will want to just document that you haven't seen that child, and that will be acceptable.
So we're going to go through a couple more questions that are here.
All right, I'm muted.
Hey, everybody, this is Roseanne. Well, they're looking at the questions and getting you to do some answers. I just also want to express our great appreciation for you and all that you are doing. And we are working, not just with you, but some of our community partners to try to assist with some of your needs. So as we go through the call today, please take a moment and jot down what are some of the things that you need. And I'm sure that you're like most of us and need things like toilet paper, cleaning supplies, gloves so you can change diapers, formula, milk, baby wipes, etc. So as those things come into your head, please just let us know. And we do remain available to assist you. We are doing a great job working with our families and you via electronic means and the telephone. So if there's something that we're missing, please let us know, because my one main message to you today is that you are not in this alone. We are with you. We are here doing everything that we can to find ways to support you more than what we're doing. And OEL is doing a great job on stepping up and stepping in. So we appreciate you. You want to get back to your questions, Elizabeth?
Okay, so some of the questions that are coming in is pretty much going to be answered with one piece, and that is we will be sending out guidance on how you will electronically submit and mark X's or A's or what is going to be needed on your attendance. So there was quite a few different questions in regards to how to record that information. Please keep an eye out on Elizabeth's emails for the guidance on that. Individual questions for particular sites, we will reach out to you individually, because I know I do have a question on here about VPK, and they're closed for spring break, but her site is open. So there will be additional guidance on the VPK payments and how things will be handled with that as well.
We're going to talk about that too. It's a little bit further down, I think.
Okay, how can we submit a VPK short form if the parents are not attending?
So the answer to that is you would just document that the parents are not attending in that slot. If you're using the short form, that means you have a line for the month of March. You can just write in there, child did not attend. And you can even put in there, child did not attend due to COVID-19 preparedness or conscientious, but make some good words up for that. But basically, you can just say due to being cautious about the virus.
And all the rules that wrap around the VPK, the 80-20, all of those pieces, we will have more guidance out to you. We do not have it from OEL at this time, but as soon as we get it, we will be sending it out to you.
There is a lot of discussion at the state level about that guidance, about the 80-20 rule, about the attendance, about whether or not we're making up the hours. Those are a lot of questions that I've received. Do we make up our time? And the answer right now is hang tight, okay? We do not want you to adjust your calendar just yet for VPK. So if you've chosen to close and you're offering VPK or you're a VPK only site, just keep watching your email, keep doing what you're doing, and stay in contact with us if anything changes.
Okay, so the next question is, if we decide to close, does that mean we will not be reimbursed for that time because we have been extremely short-staffed and short on supplies?
So part of the guidance that, and as we go through the agenda, this is all from the email that I sent out on Friday, March 20th. The providers that close will be reimbursed. We just need some additional guidance from OEL on how to format that reimbursement. So you will receive a reimbursement. We just don't have the details around it right now.
Okay.
So that should answer that question.
And the last question that we have right at this second is, what about kids that are in the VPK program in the public schools and want to transfer?
So the kids that are in the VPK in the public schools that want to transfer, and I think I need a little more clarification around that question. Are you meaning transfer VPK? Because transferring VPK, the 70% most likely before this even happened was already up, which means that a transfer cannot occur.
So yes, so the answer is yes, that it was transferring to them, but we have to be extremely careful because of the 70% time used that we can't transfer students, not all of them at this time. Is the reimbursement the same for voluntary closures compared to mandated closures?
We believe so, but if any additional guidance comes out on that, we will definitely let you know. We have not received any guidance from OEL on voluntary closures versus the mandated closure.
Okay, so we're going to hold on questions now, and we'll get back to the agenda. We'll stop periodically so we can answer some of these.
So the next thing on our agenda, next bullet, is to talk about the parent fee waivers. And so with the parent fee waivers, the coalition is going to pay parent fees for school readiness enrolled children. Now, what we are still clarifying is the effective date for when the coalition will reimburse parent fees. So as soon as that has been finalized, we can give you some additional guidance on that. And basically what happens around that is the coalition is going to pay the parent fee that we assign based on eligibility to each family for each child in the household. Those are the fees that are on your certificates that you get for school readiness. So that is the piece that the coalition will be paying you. We are asking you not to charge that parent fee on top of the coalition reimbursing. I think that speaks for itself. However, you can charge your differential fee. If you charge a differential beyond the parent fee, you are allowed to charge that if need be. I feel like this is going to garner a lot of questions from you. So let's pause for a second and see if there's anything.
Mm-hmm. And this is for Zanigan, and we are waiting on clarification, confirmation from the Office of Early Learning as to the begin date of our ability to pay for parent fees. We have asked for sometime in March, so please bear that in mind when you have parents that have been potentially laid off or not working and have their child at home. Please bear that in mind, that the coalitions are working with the Office of Early Learning to have not only you fully reimbursed for your school readiness costs incurred for the time the children aren't there, but your parent fees as well. So just keep that in mind and let us know if you have questions, or we have parents emailing us and calling us all the time right now. Feel free to direct them to us, and we will handle each of their situations.
Okay, and on one of the questions, I'm just going to put out this generic reminder. If you believe there is an issue with the portal that you have not been able to work out with your quality staff, send an email to efsmod@elc-marion.org, which is at the bottom of your agenda today. When do we start not charging the parent fees?
So that's where we're waiting on final date decision to be made at the state level, as far as so that every coalition is on the same page with this piece. So right now we're just telling you this is coming. We realize that you may have already collected parent fees for March, but we'll definitely, as soon as we have that date, it'll be blasted out to you via email.
How long do we not take the parent fees for?
The question is, how long do you not take the parent fees for? Until we tell you we're not paying parent fees anymore. So stay tuned for that too. All of this is, a result of the impact that COVID has had on our community, parents that still need you, and the understanding that you are using your dollars to buy additional supplies to keep yourselves running. So this is our way of trying to help the families and ensure that you still get paid. So let me talk about what that means for a second. If you look at your contract with the coalition, there's a market rate listed in your contract. So there's your private pay rate, and then below it is your market rate. And the market rate is the maximum amount that the coalition can pay you. Every county is different, for those of you that work with multiple counties. So for Marion County, your market rate of what you'll get paid daily based on the child's age and their eligibility of full or part-time is what the coalition will reimburse you. Now, typically, your market rate is the rate the maximum rate the coalition can pay minus the parent fee. Right now, it's just going to be the flat market rate. We're not taking out the parent fees as soon as this comes into effect. Let's see.
Okay.
Let's pause for a second and see if we have any additional questions on this topic.
I believe we've already answered this. If it's a volunteer closure, will you get paid for reimbursement? We don't have a projected date yet. I know you don't know the effective date for the parent fees, but for those of us who bill in advance, provide some directive. Remember, it is difficult to write refund checks.
Right, and something you might consider is a credit to the family. If you've already collected a parent fee, pay it forward to, it might not happen until July. We may be able to cover parent fees for a time uncertain at this point. So it may be something that you would just give the parent a credit for. If the family is in serious dire need, then maybe you take it by a case-by-case basis and look at each individual situation.
And this is Roseanne again, and I see the comment on FYI, our last one mentioned the date of March 16th. And again, we don't have any directive, guidance, or any date right now from the Office of Early Learning. After further conversations today around the state, what Marion County and our nearby coalitions are looking at doing and have requested OEL is to have the date effective March 1st. So again, nothing on this is firm. We know we will be paying parent fees beginning at some date. Until we get directive or guidance from the Office of Early Learning, that's all we can tell you. So please just hang in there with us, and let's just appreciate the fact that we got good news to help not only you, but our parents that so desperately need it.
Yes. If your parent has been laid off, should we direct them to you to let you know that they will lose ELC?
Not at this time. Not at this time. Please, let's just make our parents and the providers, you all, priority at this time, because we are looking at extending redetermination dates. Because anytime that a parent goes through a change in that could potentially affect their eligibility, there's also a time period in there as well. So we'll just meet their needs at this time, and we will move forward as need be as we receive additional guidance and timelines.
And that is a great segue into our next, the next bullet point on our agenda, which is the school readiness eligibility extension. Even on a typical functioning day, which we're getting used to this new normal, which is not typical for us, but on a typical day, if a parent were to lose their job, they would have 90 days and still receive their school readiness care in order to find new employment. What we're doing now in light of COVID-19 is we're extending eligibility renewal services. So we are not taking anybody off services right now, regardless of whether they're employed or not today and for the foreseeable future until we get through this. The coalition will continue to evaluate that and continue to look for directives and support from OEL, as we already have. So you don't have to worry right now about parents losing their eligibility like Roseanne said. So we're just going to focus on getting through this and supporting each other and holding the parents up, as well as keeping you all going.
Hey, Roseanne, this is one for you to answer.
Yes, ma'am.
OEL states all fees will be paid through June 30th. Is this the end date?
That's the end date of the fiscal year, and everything that happens around the state is usually based on fiscal year. So the fiscal year is July 1 through June 30th, so that is what OEL is stating. Haven't seen anything in writing and still waiting for an executive order with specific details around the contents of that executive order signed by the governor to come from the Office of Early Learning. We had hoped to have it on Friday, and it's Tuesday afternoon, and we haven't received it. Shan has been in contact with the Early Learning Coalition, letting us know they're working on it, So as soon as we get it, we can answer that question. I can't give you dates at this point.
And just to add to that, I believe you're referring to the Department of Education's press release that they put out last Tuesday. And in there, the paragraph talks about the allocations for funding for various programs, including VPK and school readiness. The allocations were actually made last June 2019. And basically what it was trying to tell everybody is to find some comfort basically in the fact that those allocations have not been moved to any other line item, that they're still available to reimburse for the school readiness and VPK programs. So that's part of that piece in the word allocation. So the funding is still there to support these programs through June 2020.
So the next question is regarding school-age kids. Yes, last week, school-agers were paid at full time. If you continue to stay open, they will continue to be paid at full time while school is out. Are other providers concerned about not collecting parent fees and the financial impact that will have on them in the short term?
Well, we can't answer for other providers. You're going to receive the funds from the Office of Early Learning through the Early Learning Coalition, and we certainly don't want to speak on behalf of it. If that's something, when Elizabeth sends her daily email this afternoon, she'll include that question, and we'll be happy to have you all provide us answers and share it back with you.
And I can share with you, I heard from one provider only that has said, that actually spoke for multiple providers in that email, and said providers use parent fees for weekly expenses. And so with that, I think that has to be considered. As a business owner, I think I would have to look I'd need more information. What is it that you're having to buy on a weekly basis that the parent fees are covering? That maybe, we're always looking for ideas of different ways to support you. So if you're using it to buy construction paper or something like that, maybe that is something we can look into. But as so far, I have only heard from one provider who mentioned that providers use parent fees to pay for weekly expenses, and that may cause a hardship because we only reimburse on a monthly basis.
Oh, you want that comment read?
Yeah,
okay.
There was a comment.
It says, if we understand the same guidance from, if we understand the same guidance, or if we are under the same guidance from OEL, what would make a difference from our county guidelines and guidelines regarding another county? Sorry, these are really hard and tiny to read, so I'm trying to read the best. So basically, I think what you're asking here is, what is the difference between Alachua and us if we are all ruled underneath the OEL guidelines?
And you're absolutely right. If OEL, and that's the biggest opportunity we have right now, is we don't have anything clear in writing surrounding dates from the Office of Early Learning. So the coalitions, each of us are going to have our own thoughts, ideas, goals, dreams, wishes for what we would like to do, and we're going to talk to OEL about that and share that with our peers. But once we have guidelines, yes, we're all under the same guidelines. So as soon as we get those, we certainly will share them with you so that we can ensure that you have the same information that we have.
And yes, if you have any parents that have lost their job, you can send them to our website to go ahead and apply for our wait list.
If they're not receiving, well,
there, it said private pay, I apologize, yes. Elizabeth, this is going to be for you. I believe that there was something about a waiver regarding capacity to assist with essential employees. Where do we find this form?
A waiver to assist with essential employees. Are you referring, can you give me a little more information about that? Are you referring to first responders? Or are you, I think are you talking about the teachers in your classroom?
Or the federal bills that are out there?
So if the person that asked that question, if you could send me something to my email at eviola@elc-marion.org, I would be happy to research that more. And then if the answer pertains to everybody, I can include it in my daily blast either this afternoon or tomorrow.
When will be effective the zero balance waiver to transfer?
So that's a great way to transition into that. So the zero balance waiver for transfers, basically we have 21 sites in Marion County as of today that decided to close their doors voluntarily. Those children the parents that still need services that are transferring to other sites, they don't need a zero balance to do so because they don't have a choice in you closing. So that's where that zero balance waiver comes into play, and that's basically effective now. So we're going to pause for a second just to make sure no more questions come in before we move to our second agenda item.
Hey, gang, that's awesome. We have 82 of you in attendance, and that is absolutely wonderful. And please remember, if you know of someone who is not receiving Elizabeth's daily updates, please make sure that you give that individual or you send us the email address, because the information that is contained in those daily updates is the latest and the greatest. And we encourage you, sometimes they are lengthy, but that's how you're going to be kept in the same communication loop that we are in. We want you to have that information. So try to find a few minutes in somewhere in our worlds that are so busy and hectic right now to read that information. And if you read it and you don't understand something, email Elizabeth. She's got her address in there.
I do, and I'm also adding, so it's not just providers. We've gotten community partners that have asked to be a part of our daily blast, so they're also included in that as well. So they're also keeping up with what you're doing because they understand the importance of early learning and the services you're providing right now. And I do want to pose a question out to everybody on the phone about those of you that are still open, about the class size and the 10-person per space occupancy. Are you finding any challenges? I have had some questions about that, and I have provided a few options that you can consider if you have the room to do so, but we are very interested in knowing how you're handling the total of 9 students and 1 teacher, or in other realms, if you have infants, you're down to 1 teacher for 4. One piece I can say as you're answering that question or thinking about how you're dealing with that space issue, we did receive information back from DCF late last night that said they are not waiving or exempting any of the ratio requirements, as the guidance and the recommendation is down to 10 to a space. So they're not waiving any of that, the ratio requirements at this time. So let me stop for a second and see if we get any feedback. And I don't know, Marcy, are we able to unmute phones at all?
Yes, we can attempt if somebody wants to discuss that and raise their hands. I don't want to, with 82 on there, if I unmute everybody, it's going to be a little bit of chaos. So
there's a button on the side of your screen there that's a hand, and you can click it there with your hand.
Muted.
Okay, Nyla, you should be unmuted.
I'm losing the sound, sorry. No sound.
Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear us, Nyla?
Yes, I just would like a little bit more clarification about that. If we get to the point where ratio cannot be met, I didn't understand very well the answer.
Okay, so basically, DCF is saying that they will not exempt any providers from the ratio requirements that are already set forth.
Okay.
So it's recommended, of course, and it's required at this point from this fee that no more than 10 individuals in a single space at any given time. So we are trying to see how child care providers are meeting that requirement. And if you're finding it difficult, or what strategies have you come up with to meet that?
So far, we are doing okay. We have less kids, less staff, but we have been able to handle.
Okay. Great. Thank you, Nyla.
No problem. Thank you.
I'm going to put you back on mute, Nyla. Tracy, I'm going to try to take you off of mute next. Tracy, are you there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, go right ahead.
What if providers were closed because of exposure? If the child transfers, will the original site still be reimbursed, and how will the original site know about the transfer?
So we would have to transfer their services here, so we would know already that the child is transferred. So that answers that question. I believe what you're trying to ask is how does the new site know if the child's been exposed? Is that correct?
Yes.
So because of HIPAA, we don't know, and nor can we share that information. I had this conversation on Saturday. We had the conversation with Mark Lander, who's the administrator over our Marion County Health Department, And essentially, if the child is not showing any symptoms and the parent is not showing any symptoms, your best practice, as I sent this out yesterday in our daily update yesterday, basically to take precautions at your site. Do your well check, check temperature and is the child well? Are they coughing? Do you see any signs of sickness or illness?
Exactly.
And then you can choice.
Unfortunately, there are some students we've seen some cases where they're asymptomatic, not exhibiting any signs. So therefore, students who are already currently enrolled in our facility and have not been exposed, and the staff that's in our facility to be exposed, therefore, possibly causing a spread. That's why I'm really seriously considering shutting down, because we have a lot of people who are not exhibiting fevers.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And unfortunately, there's no fail-safe way to know whether or not somebody could be a carrier and be asymptomatic. A provider sent me a video today of somebody that had tested positive for it that was asymptomatic. There is really no true way to know. So you do take your precautions and make the best decision you can make, and make a decision that is going to best serve your population and the children in your care and families that you're already serving. That is definitely an individual choice.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to put you on mute. Anita, no, I can't read that name. It says Robinson on it. Anitra Robinson. I'm taking you off of mute.
Hi, Anitra. Can you hear us?
Yes, I can.
Hi.
I am, hi, I'm a little bit concerned also about exactly what the caller before me is concerned about, because I have Jayla and our sister, so we share parents, and our parents have underlying conditions. So we have remained open because we do have some parents that are essential workers, but we are really considering closing because of the safety to our own family. And so it is very hard for us to weigh the risk of staying open, for the essential worker, rather than taking the risk to our own family. And so when we get the information that, we may not get paid because we are choosing to close, that's kind of a little bit detrimental to us, because we are small and we are pretty much family here. So that's why we are really trying to get guidance on whether or not we are going to continue to get paid, and we are weighing every day the risk to our own family by staying open.
Yes, and we can definitely understand where you're coming from, and we thank you for the services that you're continuing to provide right now. You will continue to get paid for your school readiness and VPK parents, and you have to figure out what's going to work best for you. It's an individual business decision. Definitely, and you do have to take all of those things into consideration. And with our staff calling you guys every day and checking on you, it truly is a well check. So if you're really just unsure, take that moment when Sienna, Mary, Vid-Mary, Lily, Tiffany, any of our staff call you, whoever is calling you, to check on you. Take that moment and say, hey, I want to talk about this for a second. I'm considering this. Yesterday, and for the second time, I sent out it was a document that was kind of like, do I close or do I not close? What should I consider before I make the decision in closing? I would encourage you to go back and look at that and kind of walk through that diagram and see where your site falls. Nobody, while yes, you are essential and we have parents that need you and care, nobody is going to fault you for making a decision.
Okay.
We're going to try to get Taffin unmuted now.
You might want to move on because you're
Yeah.
Good afternoon, ladies. I want to ask a question concerning the 10 in an area, 10 in a class. So if I have more than that, I would need to hire another one for the next group that would, you know, run it like an overrun of whatever. So if I had 10, 12, I mean, I would need to hire another person to care for the two.
Well, so we're going to talk about a potential support for teachers, for sites that are remaining open that need teachers a little further in the agenda. But okay. Yeah, you might even consider, you know, so you're not hiring somebody for just 2. You might even consider saying, okay, if I have 12 kids, 6 and 6, if you're going to do that just to make it a little more worthwhile for your staff. And the lower ratio, those children would probably just love all that one-on-one attention from your teacher.
And this is Roseanne again. Let me just ask, do we have anybody on from DCF on the call? We had hoped that we might be able to get someone to join us, but we know that it's kind of crazy and we may not have anyone. So let me just ask, is anybody from DCF on the call? If you would
raise your hand.
No, okay, because hopefully we'll get somebody from DCF on the call or get some additional information, clarification from them. And again, that will be included in Elizabeth's email. Elizabeth, I'm going to encourage you to just have them email you additional questions so you can get on with your agenda.
If you do have any additional feedback regarding the 10 people to an area, that's usually 9 students, 1 teacher, or depending on the age of the children, it can be 2 teachers. Please send me an email if you would like to provide your feedback. And with that being said, we're going to talk about really quickly, I already touched on it a little bit, reimbursement for sites that have closed. There is language coming on that. So if you decided to close, you will be reimbursed. We don't know what that looks like yet, but it is coming. Moving on the agenda to our piece number 2, which talks about assessment and screening. So just to let you know, you will not be receiving any further class observation site visits for the remainder of the fiscal year. So that's through June 30th. If you have not received your visit this year, our understanding is that the score you received last year will carry over for your new contract. So it will not stop you from contracting with us in July. That is done. So you cannot, if anybody shows up to do a class observation with you, I'm going to tell you, hold up, pick up the phone, give us a call, and let us help you through that, or shoot us an email, because you should not be receiving a class observation from the ELC of Marion staff or from the Children's Forum on behalf of Marion County. The next piece is the ages and stages questionnaires. You all have been amazing with doing your screenings of children within the first 45 days of enrollment. At this time, through the end of the fiscal year, you will not have to do those ASQ screenings. Okay, hold your applause for just a second. I'm going to still encourage you, you know, while you have children in care, you will still have the opportunity to use the Brooks system to do an ASQ should you want to. And I still encourage you, stay in the habit, because we are going to get back on track and things are going to get back in play. And these are all temporary things to help us out right now. But this will come back into being a requirement as soon as our world normalizes again. And we don't want children who still are in need of services and early intervention to slip through a crack. So we're still here to help you with that. VidMary's still on board to help with ASQ screening processing through. We still have Tanya with Help Me Grow providing services directly to families. And so please don't let this halt you. If you see a child in need and you really still want to do that, we still encourage it. The next thing is your VPK. For your VPK providers, your VPK assessment 3, AP3, is no, you do not have to do it. Now, if you're still offering VPK, you can, and I would still encourage it, because it's still a great way to keep things as normal as possible while we're going through these abnormal times. That being said, you do not have to log into the Bright Beginnings website and log your AP3 assessment scores. And those all of that has been waived until June 30th. Let me pause for a second and see if there are any questions.
I think what we're going to do with the rest of the questions, because we've only got about 15 more minutes on this call, is we're going to review these questions that everybody has submitted, and we'll put them into a frequently asked question sheet and send them all out to everybody. So everybody's getting the same thing in writing.
Yep. Okay, so the next thing on our agenda is local loans for small businesses, and Roseanne's going to cover that.
Okay, this morning at the Marion County Commission meeting, they talked about loans for small businesses. I know that's what you are. The details should be available tomorrow. It's a joint partnership between the city and the county and the CEP. Okay, the CEP is the Chamber and Economic Partnership. They anticipate the applications available tomorrow. They allocated $250,000 for these loans. They are loans for small businesses up to $25,000. So they're going to go quick. If you think that you are interested in this, please, I'll have Elizabeth put the link in the email to you this afternoon. Watch their website and get your application quick. They're looking to turn these around quickly, and they can do that because these are local. This would be over a 36-month repayment plan. The first 6 months, no payment would be due. The first 6 months, no payment. Months 7 through 12 would be interest only. And then months 13 through 36 would be principal and interest. Now, the one piece of that is we were trying to do many things here. The one piece of that we did not get is what the interest rate would be. So we're sure it's fairly low. So look at that. But again, if you are looking for a quick way to see if you are eligible to get some quick cash to assist with things, this might be something that you're interested in. So again, check the email this afternoon. We were super excited about this opportunity, not just for our child care providers, but for all the small businesses in Marion County. And just shows you, you know, the community really is here for all of you. You are not alone.
Okay, thank you. And that, just to piggyback on that, in previous daily updates I sent out about a small bridge business loan, that has already been depleted. All of those loans have been given out, so I'll be removing that link from my daily update. But that, and I did receive some feedback from providers that said we're not interested in that. The interest was too high anyway. So, but this, like Roseanne said, you're going to want to jump on this application very quickly because those funds will go very, very fast. Moving on to VPK provider and probation update. If your site was determined and you scored a kindergarten readiness rate below 60 this year, and you have been deemed a provider on probation, we are going to be extremely flexible and work with you on improvement plans. And that is the same, this is not in your agenda, but that is the same for any quality improvement plans that might be in existence now from the class observations. So I'm kind of throwing two at you there. We are going to be very, very flexible and work with you to make sure you are successful in those. So please don't have that be a worry on your mind right now. The next piece, I've heard from a couple of providers that said, I want to stay open, however, I am short on staff, and Taffin kind of brought it up earlier. So we've been doing some brainstorming here. The coalition, our leadership team, has been in communication 7 days a week for the past couple of weeks to try to brainstorm and come up with troubleshooting ways to assist you as things come in. One of the ways that we have decided to support you is through a private Facebook group that you can join. If you go to the ELC Facebook page, you can join it as a provider where you all can talk amongst yourselves without it being in public communication about potentially sharing teachers with each other who, especially sites that may have chosen to close and your teachers are at home and you're not paying them, or they are comfortable with going to work for somebody else for a temporary status. That is something that could really, you could support each other in that manner, and the coalition is happy to be the catalyst to introduce you to each other for that piece of it. So Taffin, join that group, and let's see if we can get you hooked up with another provider that may have a teacher, even Head Start, because Head Start is not open right now. Those teachers could be sitting there just looking for something to do. So if that is an option for our sites that are not open, or if you have teachers that you're willing to loan out and be nice to each other about it, we're happy to have that talking forum for you. So again, that's on the Coalition's Facebook page. So a lot of you have already liked our page on Facebook, so you can log in and see and just ask to join that group. The next thing is your school readiness monitoring update. A lot of you have received visits from the ELC quality team and our compliance team already, trying to get your annual school readiness visit out of the way and completed. This is monitoring your school readiness program or your VPK program. We are looking at whether or not we are required to continue those on for the fiscal year. That is something that we haven't received any guidance on yet from OEL. So we're trying to think of very creative ways to work with those of you that still have a review due, a monitoring due, if we are still required to keep up with that. So Scott and his team in quality have been very creative and coming up with ways where we can do it without a face-to-face on-site visit. So basically more to come on that if we are required to keep that up this year. The next thing on the agenda is your EFS mod update and just an update on the reconciliation process from fiscal year 18-19. I received an email yesterday from a provider, so we felt it was appropriate to just give you an update of the status of where we're at. Marcy?
As you guys know, we have been hard at work at this. We are coming up on the end of this fairly quickly, and we should be reaching out shortly to individuals to start the process of closing and sending you reports for you to be able to review. For the EFS mod side, they are in the middle of testing a new release to come out. At this moment, they've kind of put these things on hold for the changes that they're going to have to implement for when they put out all of these changes due to COVID-19, like the co-parent fees and the school ager changes and all of that. So it may be a little bit slower on any of the next updates, which are our next set of contracts coming out. Elizabeth?
All right. Some more to come on that. If you have questions and answers, which is next on our agenda, or questions, we have hopefully answers. But please go ahead and submit them or send me an email. I'll be going through my emails here in just a little bit to get our frequently asked questions updated. And then I would like to propose that we do this again next Tuesday at 1. This seems to be a good time for everybody because a lot of people were able to join us today. Just to keep you in the loop, it probably will not be nearly as long as this call today, but we may have some clarification by then. We're hopeful. We're always hopeful. So I'm going to go ahead and put that on the calendar.
And I will go ahead and reach out to DCF and see if we can get somebody on the call next week. So be thinking about some of the things that you would like DCF to address and email them to Elizabeth so we can get them a little bit of prep time to ensure that they have the information that you're requesting.
Yes, and there's another, I've put on the agenda, we have had a lot of changes to scheduled professional development opportunities and We really would like to gauge your need for online professional development. Like, do you have staff that need to renew their CPR and first aid, and would they be interested and have the technology available to do it online if we were to offer that? So that's something I would like to bring up next week if you can think about that. And of course, if you have any other topics, please feel free to shoot them my way or even to Scott, and we can address them.
So I'm reading through just some of the questions. Most of these we're going to go ahead and send in the frequently asked questions. I know there was a few of you that came on late. Most of the frequently asked questions will be able to cover all of the topics here. There was a question whether this is being recorded. Yes, this is being recorded. I don't have a solid answer if I'll be able to put it out there on your provider YouTube site, only because this is our first time running this in this manner, so you're going to have to bear with us while we learn all the bells and whistles.
Don't we love technology? And with that, we thank you so much again for what you continue to do and your patience and your diligence, and be safe, cover your coughs, yes. And send us an email, stay in communication, and we will do the same.
And I'll leave this up for the next 5 minutes for anybody that wants to add additional questions. We are able to print all of these questions out and who they came from, so we will get back with you. So it will stay open for another 5 minutes for you guys to add additional questions for us. Have a great day.
Thank you, everybody.